Hi, welcome to Math 76, Lesson 127. This lesson is talking about finding a whole when a percent is known. Now, this is a really important concept. You're going to be using this for the next few years. And even my 87s still struggle with this. So try really hard to work on this and to make sure you understand it. You can stop the video at parts, rewatch it, but go through your book if that helps you, but it's really important to make sure that you understand this concept. Now, we've solved problems about fractional parts of a whole. Now we're going to consider problems with a percent of a whole, such as this problem. 30% of the members of the tribe were warriors. There were 150 warriors in all. What was the population of the tribe? Now, the problem tells us that 30% of the members of the tribe were warriors. The entire tribe was the whole group. The warriors were part of the group. We will write an equation using T to stand for the members of the tribe or the whole tribe. Now we're told that the number of warriors is 150. So we're going to see 30% of the tribe were warriors. 30% will bring right down. T is representing the whole tribe. Word tells us that it equals the warriors are 150. So now we've got our equation, 30% T equals 150. We can change we can change 30% to a fraction, 3/10 times T equals 150, or a decimal, 0.3T equals 150. Either way is fine. We're going to go ahead and solve for both. First, looking at it as a fraction, we have 3/10 T equals 150. Now we're going to find T by dividing 150 by 3/10, which really is we divide both sides by 3/10. So we'll divide 150 by 3/10. Now, of course, when we're dividing a fraction, we're multiplying by the reciprocal. So we take 150 and we're going to multiply that by 10/3. We can cross cancel right here. And we see that 50 times 10 is 500. So T equals 500. Let's do it with the decimal. Now, when we have a decimal, we're doing the same thing. We're dividing both sides by 0.3. So we will take 150 and we're dividing that by 0.3. Now we're going to move our decimal over one place. So what we end up with is 1,500 divided by 3. And we'll just do the math then. 3 goes into 15 5 times. Bring our 0 down. Goes into that 0. Bring our next 0 down, and it goes in 0. And we see that still T equals 500. Now we're going to practice a couple of times. We're told that 30% of what number is 120? So 30% of what number is 120? 30%, we're going to use N to represent the number, equals 120. And you remember is means equal. When it says is, we'll use an equal sign. So we then can write our equation. We're going to solve this one using a decimal. So 30% is going to become 0.3N equals 120. Now we find N by dividing 120 by 0.3. So let's do that. Now we're going to move our decimal over one here. Let's move it over one here. 3 goes into 12 4 times. bring our 0 down. Goes in 0, bring our next 0 down, 0, and we find that that number equals equals 400. So 30% of what number is 120? We could replace of what number? 30% of 400 is 120. So let's try one more. 16 is 25% of what number? Now, when we translate that, we get 16 equals 25% of what number? Now, you can solve it the way it's written, but if you notice, it's different, excuse me, than it's been in the other examples. You can solve that by simply changing the sides. We can move it so that 25n moves down here and 16 over here. We can switch the sides of the equal sign. So you can solve it just like this, or you could rewrite it to be 25% n equals equals 16. We're going to solve it just as it's translated, and we're going to solve it as a fraction. So we're going to take 16 equals 25% n, put it into fraction form. 16 equals 1/4 n, and we will solve that by dividing both sides by 1/4. So we would solve that by dividing 16 divided by 1/4, which again, as we know, when we're dividing a fraction, it becomes multiplied by the reciprocal. 16 times 4 equals 64. So n equals 64. If we go back to our original question, 16 is 25% of what number? What number? We could replace what number with 64. You do have some practice problems. I'd like you to go ahead and practice those. You can check your answers on the practice problem page in Canvas. I will put the answers there for you.